Hi everybody, I'm V and I'm with Passions and Distractions, and I am going to be bringing you a series of videos, and they are focused on how to use these small stamps. So as you can see, this is a whole set, and I thought it would be a great one just to use for demonstrating all of the different ways you can use them. But of course, we all have these small stamps somewhere. They'll come as part of a set for you to build a scene with, or you'll buy a whole packet like this. I know when I bought this in Michael's 100 years ago, I'm sure I was super excited. I don't actually remember. I was in a craft store and I blacked out, and then when I came to, I was standing at the register with the coupon and a credit card. But I'm sure somewhere in the middle I was really excited about this and felt I had a million uses. Well, I know I've used it twice, and that's a bit shy of a million. So let's talk about all the different ways we can use it instead. Okay, so the first technique I'm going to show you today is just making your own background or pattern paper. So what you want to do is you want to take one of these little elements. So I'm taking this cute little spider. I'm going to smush him down in the ink because I really want him saturated. I want a good, firm, black color. I just want it to be really deep and rich. And then I want to very carefully figure out where I'm going to put him and just put him straight down. Don't wiggle him. You can press a little, but don't wiggle. And then lift them right back up, and you have a great crisp, firm impression. Now here's why I'm telling you don't wiggle and just set it right down, because you can see that by smushing it in the ink, I have all of this around the rubber, so that means I have to be really careful. Now the trade-off is that you can just kiss it and just lightly rub it against the ink pad. You'll get a fair amount of ink on there, but it's been my experience that you don't really get a fully saturated color. So since I like the colors to be deep and rich, at least I do on an orange paper like this, I'm just gonna go for it. And now I'm going through and I'm turning the cardstock as well as turning the image so I can make sure that they're pointed in all different directions. I'm also going to make sure that I'm filling in all the gaps. I want this to be full just as it would be if it were a piece of background paper that I purchased from the store. So now, as you can see, I have a nice finished background. I can use this in a lot of different ways on a card. I can trim it down more, I can do whatever. And you'll notice, over here, one of them, oh shoot, I covered it so well I can't even keep track of where it was. But one of them, when I stamped down the spider, I got an inky smudge. I covered it up with one of the black cats. I could have done the same thing over here. When I pressed down the spider web, I got a smudge. I didn't do that. I've chosen not to worry too much about it being perfect. Hey, we're going for handmade here. So a couple of ways that I could cover that later is I could put a sentiment over it. I could trim down the card more. There's really just a lot of ways that I can cover that mistake. Or I can just be chill and not even worry about it. You also saw that I put down a piece of scrap paper so I could start stamping off the edge. It's really nice to just kind of continue that image. It just helps give your base a little bit more of a finished look. So of course, once you've done that, you do have some other options. You can certainly do a tone on tone like this. It's some of the different images from the set, and I just stamped it with some orange ink on orange cardstock, and I got a great but very subtle design. And once again, you can see, hey, I've got a couple flaws. I don't really find that particularly offensive in the tone on tone, but like I said, if it did bother me in the overall design, I could cover that up with a sentiment. And of course, this also looks really good when you use a lot of different colors. You can see I went for a white cardstock here. I didn't want too much busyness, but that gave me an opportunity to use some of the black bats and kind of some other cool Halloween colors, the purple, the brighter green, and really work those in. So you can get a lot of different effects just from a very few set of stamps. I mean, we're looking at, I've used 3 to 4 stamps on any of these, and I already have something very different. When you're creating backgrounds, I don't want you to forget about the joy of a nice repeated pattern. So we're going to take this really simple cat stamp, and I'm just going to make a nice set of columns and rows on this piece of paper because I love that as a background stamp. And frankly, I'd kind of like that as a shirt too. But to do this, you have a couple of ways you could handle it. You could just eyeball it and try to do your best there. Or you can be very specific like me and go ahead and measure it out. So I'm going to show you how to do that first. So I measured the stamp, and the stamp is about 1 inch for the entire wood block, which is great. That's an easy thing for me to line up. It's a little bit, well, it's 3/4 of an inch, but I'm not really so much worried about that. We're just going to go with the width of our image since that's bigger. So this piece of paper, once again, trimmed down to 4 by 5 1/4. And I am just going to go ahead and make a mark every 1/2 inch. Super easy to do. And it's just going to be a light little pencil mark. I'm going to come down to the bottom of the page. I'm going to do that exact same thing again. But we're going to speed this up a little bit because this is boring. Oh, shoo, look at me go. Look at how fast I draw those lines. Wish I drew them that fast in college. All right, so now that I have all of those drawn, I want to go back and I want to draw more lines going this way. So I'm creating a full grid. Now, as I mentioned, this is 5 1/4, and I still want all those spots to be an inch by inch grid, essentially. Well, I'm marking them on the 1/2 inch. You know what? Just go with it. So what I'm going to do, because I really don't want to do any math, is I just want to offset my ruler by 1/8 of an inch. So that way I can just keep marking at the 1/2 inch spot, just like I did before. But you know what? Time-lapsing things is so much fun. We're going to do that again. So here we are watching me make just a nice grid, and that's really all you want, is just a grid to help you line up the stamp. Okay, so now that I have that grid all marked out, I'm going to go ahead and start stamping. Now this is a very fine line stamp, which means I really wasn't going to get a super intense color anyway, so it's going to benefit me to just go ahead and be very gentle in my application. So this is where that kissing method came in that I told you about earlier. Not that other one. That's in a different video. That's a joke, guys. My humor doesn't get any better, trust me. So you see, all I'm doing, brushing this against the ink pad. You want to make sure that it's fully coated. And there we go. And so then I'm just going to line it up, and I'm going to line up first corner of the wood block and press down. I wiggled a little, but that's okay because I didn't have a bunch of ink on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip one square and then I'm going to stamp again. But we're going to time lapse this again because I have a whole bunch of these to do. So as you can see, I just continue in that method to stamp all of them. And then when I start on the second column, I just start one line up from the previous cat. And that's how you get this offset pattern. So when you're finished, you have this great background of repeating patterns. And because of what I used, which is just a regular cat, you could use this for a lot of different cards, not just Halloween. So this is another great aspect of using your smaller stamps, is that it really gives you a chance to take something like that, that's a very specific set, a Halloween set, and find ways to repurpose it so you can use these all year long. So of course, all that's left to do is to erase the grid marks that you used as your guide. Now I used pigment ink and I want to give it a little time to dry. I don't want to smear all my hard work. So thankfully, I created another one last night and got all of the marks erased after it had dried. So you can see how the finished background looks. Then you could take this and you could color it. You could color in the little eyes. You could add some bling. And then, of course, you can go ahead and add whatever sentiments or front pieces that you need. As I mentioned, this is a series of things that you can do with small stamps. So we talked about backgrounds today, and just a reminder of the different kinds we have. And of course, there's a lot that you can do even within just backgrounds, you know, just like you could color the cats. Well, you could also, say, emboss some of these images and get a completely different look. So, to see other techniques in the future, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And you can even click a special button and be alerted when I've posted a new video. So you don't have to wait any longer than you have to, because I think I have a lot of cool techniques coming. I also encourage you to share this video with your friends, if for no other reason than a good laugh. Hey, it's my second video. I know I'm growing. I'd also really appreciate a thumbs up, and I'd love a positive comment to encourage me to continue. In addition, I also have Instagram and Facebook, and I have a blog. The blog address will be at the end of this video and will help you link to all of my other social media accounts. My blog has a lot of things that will probably never make it to my YouTube channel, like recipes, fitness tips, and some of my random thoughts. I mean, you've heard a few in this video. How could you not want more of that? Thanks for visiting today, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye!